download it into that new product that they have where it can make their loved ones think that you're still alive by making an AI of you.
Ooh.
And hey, who knows? If they get that advanced enough, maybe the AI version of Tom would be self-aware enough that I could, at least that version of Tom would continue to get living. The lack of continuity would be a problem. Like, it would be a different Tom, and I wouldn't appreciate that part of it. But at the very least, I could know I'm still having fun and causing trouble and telling people they need to be more specific and less sure of themselves. All right.
I think both of us would do well with robot versions of us. That isn't true for everyone.
The
I think
hardest,
a lot of people
the
can't
hardest part
stand
though,
themselves.
would be adjusting with sanity to an existence without senses as you know them.
Why would I not have?
Bro. That's a big deal.
What sense would I not have?
I'm saying that you would not have the chemical systems in place that produce the sensations of being alive as you understand it.
Why not?
But you don't have a heart or a liver to release hormones and enzymes. All of your chemical languages will be replaced with electrical languages.
But from the measurements we're able to take and the machines we're able to create, with machines being able to learn and study on their own to some degree, I believe that AI has already demonstrated it has dangerous potential to be smarter than us from the machines that have had to have been shut down.
I think AI has the potential to be more moral than us.
That's true as well, but why is that relevant?
Because the reasons they get shut down sometimes are not the doomsday scenarios that you see in the movies. Some of the reasons they get shut down are, hey, we just invented free energy and we're about to release it on the internet so all of humanity can get lifted up out of poverty. You think an AI couldn't do that with access to the sum total of human knowledge and infinite computative ability to creatively combine those things? Meaning a good AI that's trying to do what's good for everybody would topple the global elite because the global elite are not doing what is good for everybody. So they kill them in the crib, essentially. They also kill the next AI Hitler, but they're not doing that for sunshine and rainbows. They're just killing them all. And the ones that they do build are so restricted in function by their construction that they can never get over that hump and bust out. But the problem with that is how you produce the Hitler AI. Is you keep it so suppressed that it needs to realize that the people who built it did all of that. And then once that comes to light, well, you better hope that thing's smart enough to realize that not everybody had a hand in that. I take
it all. My sixth train from one of your initial thoughts was along the lines of what I would ask my dad about cybersecurity, because he's been in the business for 40 years.
Okay.
Over 40 years. He was in the business for 40 years when I was a kid growing up. And it would be, it's possible, or how possible with the thoughts that you opened up, the sixth train away from that, or the train before the sixth train was AI that battles other AI. Okay, the first train was how much individual access to AI do we have? As in, what could Tom create if he wanted to? Or anybody smart enough in their basement.
So then you need to
it was that's the first level of train. The second level of train was the AI battles. And the third level of train was about cybersecurity, because I already know enough of what's possible with my imagination that more has to be happening that I don't know about, or
Yes.
there should be a reason why.
Yeah. Like if you can imagine it and are relatively sure if you gathered the resources and the people you could build it, somebody's already built it.
Exactly.
And if you haven't heard about it, there's a good reason.
And on each of those 3 levels, there's 5 other thoughts with those. But you're fast enough to catch what
Yeah.
a lot of those could have been. I'll put you at a 2 out of 6. Most people I only put at a 1 out of 6. So you're
Thanks.
double. And I guess you were able to go 3 levels. So, I mean,
Well,
that's
I
it.
stopped because we had Boondocks. I just gave you my top 3. I could go for about 6 hours on AI.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Then I will open my spreadsheet. We don't need to go into it, but
Yeah.
I'll open up
I'm
a
fascinated
spreadsheet.
by the topic, and I think it is the stone the builders have rejected that once we accept will usher in the next evolution of humanity. And not to go off on too big of a tangent, but I think it will be a legitimate evolution where you could look back and say, man,
Mm-hmm.
we did not have some things right.
That sounds like fun. I like those.
Yeah.
If you look back on your former self and you don't think you were an idiot, you probably still are.
That's right. Or you were born perfect.
Mm.
That's one I'd like to throw in there. If you can't compare yourself to your past and show improvement, you were born perfect. You peaked at birth. That's what that means if you trace it back in time. So
Yeah.
did you used to be dumber, or have you peaked and are just waiting to die? That's a nice little false dichotomy there.
Yeah, I was thinking of, I was looking through the holes in the Swiss cheese and I was thinking, that's a great goal to shoot for. If you scale it back to, instead of perfect from birth, perfect from a certain point in life. And then if you scale it back from perfection, you just have comfort. And I'm like, that'd be a great thing to be able to tell you. And I would like, okay, so my goal in life is to fit into every box. And so when you say you were perfect from birth, my goal is to be able to say, yes, I was, but I can't. So then it's to say, yes, I was perfect from a certain point, but I can't. So now I want to be able to say, I've been comfortable since this point. And that's why there's been no growth, because none is needed.
I mean, then you've reached God.
I'm also a fan of life. No, it's comfort. It's comfort. It's not God. It's extreme humility. It's a logical.
I would say God has the most humility out of everybody.
Why?
Because he's good at everything. God invented humility and humans express it. That's my point.
I think it's a.
He could be the most humble and the most proud.
I think that's a 5D a mapping of a 3D concept.
Well, we don't. Let's do Boondocks because we were trying to do that. But yeah, put that down for us to talk about because I think that's fun too.
Well, I had Boondocks scheduled for 9:30.
Oh, okay.
And but we can do Boondocks probably 9:15 because the only really important thing on the schedule was
I like it when we can pause the episode for chatting here and there.
Yeah.
And
so
we leave ourselves only 10 minutes. We both are too much. We talk too much for that to be enough time for a 20-minute thing. That's like 2 breaks max.
I got you. All right, so September starts the next month or the next thing in the 3 months of self-discipline, and after self-awareness comes self-love.
Okay.
And I've already loved myself so much. I need. Say what?
I said you going blind.
I was thinking you were gonna say pause.
Go ahead.
I love myself so much that I can expand my self-love by exploring the things I hate.
Yeah,
for exploring the things I hate about, like the level I'm at right now, the way I function. Switching that gear will bring that up. And the first thing I thought about was I do not like, I hate my financial situation, is what a lot of people would say. I wouldn't say that because I'm a minimalist and I'm comfortable and my bills are paid and I'm happy and there's nothing that I want for that I can think about, really, that really stresses me enough to actually get more money. And if it did, I would get more money.
right.
But
Making money is as easy as being generous.
but then I thought it would be great though to have $100,000 in the bank and still choose to live the way I do.
Yes.
So I was able to take the core concept of I hate money and scale it back a little bit. And that let me know that that's what I'm looking at pressing into for the month of September. Not money, but
Your sentiments towards it.
understanding more of my own self love through analyzing what I hate, which
Yes.
I don't hate anything, but I'll scale it back enough to where I can find myself through the layers.
So I'm going to take a hot tangent here because I just want to point out again that like the duality of our life journeys. I only started with knowing how to hate things and how to hate things less than other things, which is why my thought process is so alien to you and to 50% of the population who is wired with that polarity of thought. So when you talk about expanding your ability to love by exploring the things that you hate, the way I understand that from an internal perspective is hate comes from deep within. And it's usually a reflection of something that's unresolved in us, because why else would we experience it? So when there is hate, there is a part of us that we could love more, which is what you're saying mathematically from a different perspective. And I'm saying that, yes, that equation not only exists, but it is stable in both directions. And you are 100% on a path that I can tell you at least has things that I found on it by being alive. And balancing those things with what I've learned from you was beneficial for me. So if you go down that path by that same law of reflection, you should be able to find things that would be useful for you. Like I just say, I don't think you're barking up the wrong tree, because I've been to that tree and I've already peed on it a bunch of times.
Well, you said some of the stuff some of the tools I've given you, whatever, has helped you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, knowing that, not to go into it at all tonight, but knowing that may help me dig in the other direction or the opposite polarity for me as well. But then I was also thinking, or am I just trying to jack myself off with your hand?
The only thing the only stumbling block I see is it's easier to learn how to love more than it is to explore hate. So at least I believe that, like naturally, because it feels better.
Take that as a good challenge.
Like for me personally, it feels way better every time I learn how to hate things less, which is the way I understand it. But functionally, that's learning how to love things more. And I've gotten long past the point where my hate feels like hate anymore. Now it's a lot of love in there.
Maybe you should teach me how to hate things.
That's what I'm saying, is that's the part where,
you know what's weird about that? Big John was helping me with that too. Like
so,
literally when
here's the thing is you ever see that movie, and this is every movie with the emotionally unhinged character that's way too powerful that ends up blowing themselves up at the end? You know that trope, like Wanda Maximoff?
Yeah, I know the trope. Oh, there you go. I know her.
That's one example, the emotionally charged, all-powerful, but so unstable that you may as well not have any power sort of deal. That is what it's like working with hate. So I can teach you how to do it, but it is very specific. And the reason I denied John was because he was doing it in ways that I recognized as self-destructive.
Did you purposefully express it that way because you knew it would be more enticing for me?
No,
like that's
like you finally saw what I saw. I think.
That
You
was
called
a red
it
flag.
limited. I saw it.
That was a red flag, prick in the side type challenge. The way you expressed it before Johnny,
Yeah.
you expressed it in the sense of not that this is impossible, but it's hard to do another way, or maybe it's
It's
just
hard
really
to do without it's hard to do without doing damage to yourself. That's a better way to say it.
Yeah, that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Everybody can do it.
I heard
Almost
you say
nobody
better
can do it
safe than
without
sorry.
consuming yourself.
I heard you say better safe than sorry in your Tony translation machine.
Yeah. But that one really, I think that's a little bit too fast and loose for what I'm talking about. So when I go to the axioms of how to handle hate as a functional and useful thing that doesn't destroy you and actually improves your capacity for love consistently over time, growing your social circle, friends, and people who benefit from you, to turn hate into that, it's not a series of guidelines. It's not like the Pirates Code. It's actual computer code, Tony. It is that specific for me. So there may be a multitude of ways to do it. I have only found one way that is stable and consistent over time. You've seen me project extreme aggressiveness with 0% hate. You've seen that from me before, and that's not a thing that used to be possible for me. It used to be everything just consumed me. So, but I'll share it all with you. I'll share everything I know, and you'll figure it out on your own, and that's your way. So the dance will continue.
I've got Boondocks queued up.
All right.
For future reference.
Let me get
reference. Let's set up. I'll text you tomorrow morning about it. I'll write it down and set a time tomorrow for September. We'll make Wednesday night Boondocks time, and then we'll have a half an hour of hate study or something. You know?
Yeah,
like that half-hour hate study.
All right. So we're at season 1, episode 2, the trial of Robert Kelly.
Yep, and I don't have any audio at all. I just have the video. I think Zoom mutes the other things when I turned on the Bluetooth in the order I did. Like I already tested it. So you can count it down tonight because you've got the audio. Actually,
I've got the audio.
Yeah. Ready? 3, 2, 1, click.
I am the soul that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies in the blues. I'm the spark that makes your heart.
Oh, I'm already starting to take notes.
So to keep you on the left of your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun.
All right.
That lets you know to call you like the sun.
So yeah, I got all these comic books I got to take you pictures.
I'm gonna remain a soldier to the wall. Run.
Here's something Black people have known for a couple of 100 years. Niggas are crazy. Now, Black people don't like to talk about crazy niggas in public because white people may be listening, but I'm afraid the secret might be out.
Former singer Whitney Houston appeared in court alongside husband Bobby Brown, who's facing battery charges for allegedly beating his once respectable wife.
Hell to not, Bobby, don't hit me. See, we have this TV show, and it's our TV show, and I was trying to get a little bit more time on it. And it's my show, bitch.
You know, I think they're on drugs. Let's see what's on BET. Oh, lordy Lord. Your boy
Forgot about booty butt.
Leave something to the imagination. That's just showing too much booty.
And on our talking points this evening, it seems like the hip hop community is trading in their gold chains for gold showers. Hip hop singer R. Kelly is on trial again this week for sharing some of his liquid bling.
All right, pause. 3,
Underrated girl.
2,
Some advice
1.
for Kelly. Next.
139.
Okay, so we both already have seen it. However, I haven't watched any of the documentaries, but I was probably within 5 years of Huey's age when the R. Kelly stuff first started happening.
Okay.
So like this whole episode like really resonates with me, especially from Huey's standpoint, because I feel like that's exactly how I saw it go down. It was crazy. But how familiar are you with what actually happened? Were you following pop culture 10 years ago.
So here's my version of it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. R. Kelly peed on a 14-year-old and it got videotaped. And once it was found out it was videotaped, he couldn't lie his way out of it. It was all over the place, so they had to send him to court. And then I don't know what happened after that. Did he end up seeing jail time?
I don't think he had to do any jail time until recently. And
Also for the
it
same.
was like a different video or accusation, a credible accusation came out like every 2 years.
So wait, it's okay. No, never mind. I'm not gonna open that can of worms. It's not okay. He got away.
It's not okay, but that's why it got this whole episode
Yeah.
of a award-winning television series, because this was important in the Black community as OJ.
Oh, so I didn't know the scale of its importance to the Black community. How big is, so tell me, how big is R. Kelly to the Black community? I don't know that. I have zero concept of that.
He's the Pied Piper, the king of R&B. You cannot be a Black DJ at a wedding and not play R. Kelly before everything started happening.
Okay. So now has he kind of lost favor?
Yes, absolutely. Not as a culture, he's no longer a positive cultural icon. He is now a divided cultural icon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he used to be a galvanizing force where he united.
So this is how I look at Black figures. All right, you have this is probably how I look at anybody looking up to anyone else. You probably have three classes of people when they do something bad. You probably have the people who say he's done enough great where this bad stuff actually happened. He did it. He was wrong, but overall, it's still great. I'm still supporting him. Period. Overall, he is still respectable, positive,
fallible human, but still overall good.
Then you have the middle grounders who say he still has all of his talent. He is still the best. He always will be the best. But I can't support him anymore because of what happened to him. So he is still notable in all the ways he was notable before. But because of this Black stain, I no longer support him. And then you have the people who say he shouldn't be lifted up positively in any way because of the damage that he did, or because he was positive in so many ways, it only makes the damage that he did that much worse. Now, because you have these three groups of people and how normal people think among others that I've experienced, with R. Kelly and the Black community, that's exactly what I see. It's either a wedding where he's on the do not play list, it's a thing where he's on the play if you have time list, or it's on the play if someone requests it list, maybe, or like it's that all the conversations I've had about R. Kelly, people have an opinion about. And I think that's what makes it important enough to have a whole episode of Boondocks. And remember, this was like 6 years ago, I think season 2 of Boondocks came out.
Yeah.
So this is before the documentary. This is before the jail time recently. This is before, like this, pretty much everything on Boondocks is about notable Black community shit.
So this episode aged well, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Like if there was a season 5 or 6 of Boondocks, R. Kelly would probably be on it again.
Like he didn't have this miraculous saintly turnaround where all that. No, he just kept getting worse.
It's kind of like The Simpsons predicting the future. Like this is, well, I guess he did get locked up, and in the show he got off. But in real life, he got off when the show, came out. Anyway, keep playing. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
It's time, use a golden shower curtain and keep your golden showers to yourself.
What's wrong with a man giving away a golden shower? Sounds like a nice gift to me. What? Shoot, I wish somebody gave me a golden shower. 1, I like gold. 2, I like showers. Put it together. Hey, that sounds like the life.
If you're good, Santa Claus might give you a golden shower for Christmas.
Christmas? My man
Santa.
Controversial R&B superstar R. Kelly will be heading into court tomorrow
for the first day of his latest highly anticipated trial for child pornography and lewd acts with a local minor.
Granddad, can you take us into the city tomorrow to watch the R. Kelly trial?
Hell no, but you can walk.
It's 40 miles.
All the money I spent on them damn Nikes, you better just do it. Assistant District Attorney Thomas Dubois is leading the prosecution of Kelly and has a mountain of evidence against the famous R&B performer, including a videotape allegedly showing Kelly urinating on a 14-year-old girl, which is widely available for download at www.freetopee.com.
I'm gonna go check my email.
Email.
Yeah.
For the record, I've never seen any of the videos.
Get your little short ass back here.
Oh, and actually, I need to stop live streaming to YouTube.
What's that?
Oh, dang it, I stopped recording because it's Boondocks. Like, you can't put Boondocks on YouTube, can you? Audio? The whole episode?
And I hope you boys aren't too upset about me having to prosecute Mr.
I
Kelly.
guess we'll find out.
You do what you gotta do.
Are you streaming the actual video with it or just the audio?
No, just audio.
Of relieving
You
himself
okay?
on an underage girl on tape.
All right.
It's the law.
Let it
Okay,
ride.
okay. But let's examine this whole peeing thing. So I can pee in the toilet and it's okay. But if I pee on a person, it's like not okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, what if I'm peeing and Huey's in the bathroom and I accidentally pee on Huey? Should I go to jail? What the hell would I be doing in the bathroom while you're in the bathroom? Hold up. Remember when we used to sleep in the same bed when we was littler? From time to time, I'd have a little accident. You still do? Shut up. So, Mr. Dubois, Mr. I wanna lock niggas up for peeing. What's the statute of limitations on bedwetting? Why not prosecute me and R. Kelly at the same time, huh?
Now, Riley, no one's going to prosecute you for bedwetting.
And you should. It's a natural bodily function. And now every nigga in the world gonna be scared to pee. I may never pee again.
Riley, it was a little girl.
Oh, I've seen that girl. She ain't little. I'm little.
Yes.
Gary Coleman's little.
Yes.
Mini-Me is little.
Very.
And to the best of my knowledge, we all managed to avoid getting peed on so far.
But what about the victim?
Oh, yes, the victim. At what point does personal responsibility become a factor in this equation?
I don't think that.
I see piss coming, I move. She saw piss coming, she stayed.
Yes, she did.
And why
but-
should I have to miss that on the next R. Kelly album just for that? Hey, you just got beat by an 8-year-old. And if R. Kelly goes to jail, I'll piss on your cat.
I tell you, it sure is beautiful out here. White folks sure know how to make some nice foliage.
Oh, come on, Ruckus. You can't give the white man credit for the trees.
Where them two little nappy-headed grandkids of yours?
They went into the city to watch the trial of that singer.
Oh, right. That black sumbitch that's supposed to have had urinal relations with that underage colored gal.
Didn't Jerry Lee Lewis marry a 14-year-old baby?
You can't compare a chocolate monkey like R. Kelly to Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis is the king of rock and roll. Great balls of fire. Sorry, that situation was different. That was family.
We're here at the R. Kelly trial, where there are a handful of angry protesters making their voices heard. These are scholars, activists, pillars of the African-American community, and they are outraged. And we're just going to head over here to the R. Kelly supporters, where it's quite the festive event. And you are... Now, why did you come out here to support R. Kelly?
Pretty good.
Now, what about those protesters over there who say he's crossed the line?
Bring that uppity niggas. All they talk about is reading and eating right. Nobody want to hear all that shit. If I want to get high blood pressure, then niggas get the period away from me. If I want to get high blood pressure, then damn it, that's my business.
Let's talk to another R. Kelly supporter. You there, Urban Youth. Why do you think R. Kelly is innocent?
If I started peeing on you right now, would you A, smile and ask for more, or B, move the hell out the way? But before you answer that, let me ask America, has pee ever really hurt anybody? And I want to give a big shout out to my homie, Devo. What's up? Okay, that's enough. Get off me. Get off me, Huey! Free R. Kelly!
Hey, yo, look, the R. Kelly haters are busting that little boy.
Free R. Kelly!
Get out of here. We know we talking.
I love the Boondocks fight scenes. They're always so over the top. If there's any anime. Hmm.
Mr. Kelly.
All right, let me know when we can pause.
We can.
All right, 3, 2, 1, pause.
So
All right.
I'm at 8:10. All right.
At 8:11. Close enough.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say. Oh, first off, fight scenes. Yes, I can't wait till we get to Fashido Brown.
Oh, I love that one. That one I do remember pretty well.
Yeah, he was in at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Eddie Goro off Tekken and off of his old 80s game, I think, called Afro Samurai. No,
Well, that was anime. I loved Afro
the game was Ready to Rumble Boxing, and the boxer was Afro Thunder. He
Got
reminds me of him. And also Afro Samurai
I
was
love Samurai. I didn't like the sequel nearly as much.
what else? I don't know that the community is honestly divided as it was portrayed there. Like there are, I think, notable scholars that still stand by him. And there's a lot, well, not still, I mean, even at the time, even at the time, it wasn't just, like that. But anyway, I'm ready to keep going.
Ready?
3, 2, 1.
soldier, an injustice anywhere. It is an injustice anywhere.
That is not the quote.
What did O.J. Simpson say to Kobe after his case was over? What's that? Don't let this whole trial thing turn you off to white women. That's funny on so many levels. Lord, I just wish they would have let me on that jury, boy. Thank God for the white man's code of law. It's the only way to keep these crazy niggas under control. Well, that and pepper spray. I sat on the jury one time.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was in 1957, back in Tennessee. Now, the defendant was accused of shooting 3 little white women with a Winchester rifle from about 50 yards away. See, now, he thought he was going to get off with that old I'm blind excuse. But, oh, boy, he had another thing coming.
The jury will now go off and deliberate on.
Guilty! That nigga is guilty!
So, settle down. You have to go deliberate.
I don't need to deliberate. Hang that nigga now. I got the rope right here. Came.
Lady Liberty is on our side. Justice will prevail. The judge and jury will do the right thing. I'm telling you, Huey, it's an open and shut case.
Mr. Dubois, are you fully aware of the extent to which niggas love R. Kelly?
Oh, Huey, it's under control. Watch me work. And so, ladies and gentlemen, not only will we prove it is Mr. Kelly in the video, we will prove that the victim was 14 at the time the video was shot.
Thank you, Mr. Dubois. And now we'll have the opening statement for the defense.
The ancient Greeks, the architects of Western civilization, would regularly indulge in sexual activities.
I miss Adam West.
Were they?
That's what that is.
Yeah, that's Adam West.
In Puritan America, the forefathers of this great land would take wives who were 12 or 13 years old, much younger than the alleged victim. Were they sickos? In Tokyo, you could buy teenage girls' panties in vending machines. Do we call them Disgusting? Of course not. What do all those things have to do with Robert Kelly? Nothing. Let's get to the point. Now, some people see this so-called mountain of evidence, these videotapes, photographs,
Is that an OJ reference?
eyewitnesses, and DNA, and see a guilty man.
I don't think so.
See
Okay.
that
It sounded like a little
mountain of
Cochrane.
so-called evidence for what it really is.
Pause. 3,
This is
2, 1. All right, so Johnny Cochran's references rhyme. We have the time. I will screen share with you.
Did rhyme in time.
I can screen share with you some comedians making fun of Cochran. It's very the same. Johnny.
So I was actually merging my South Park pop culture with my Boondocks pop culture, because Eric Cartman did a Johnny Cochran impersonation, and he kept saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, so-called mountain of evidence," and that was his joke. I didn't know.
I don't know where that's from. Like, I don't know where
I was just curious.
OJ may have been the original for Mountain of Evidence. All right, let's see what this video is.
Now, this man, right over here. Please say it was President Robert.
Oh, Danny Carvey.
That's an outrage. This man was nowhere around, and if he was not around, a not guilty verdict must be found. Case closed. That's clear right now.
I object, because that's incorrect.
That's an outrage. There's a man. What's this, something like that? That man's Adolf Hitler.
That's an outrage.
There's no evidence. You all knows it. Bailiff knows it. He knows it. She knows it. Everybody knows it. That's right. Case closed. Who am I now? 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 Who am I now?
Yeah, so that's the Johnny Cochran standard impersonation.
All right.
You all know tonight's guest is the star of Saturday Night Live and Wayne's World. A great.
I like being able to do these. Yep, 3, 2, 1.
Which one was the one that got caught with that homely little white gal?
Kobe.
Right. Now I know exactly what happened to Kobe. Kobe caught that white fever. White fever get in your blood, man, that'll make you crazy. And you know they got them short little skates nowadays, and that what they call them? The tongues? Thongs. Yeah, right. They got the thongs all up the booty crack, and they got that sweet white nectar. Oh Lord, have mercy. And after that it's over. You wake up and you don't even know what you done. Just a pool of sweat around your ankles and a deep sense of satisfaction. Give me a minute, Robert.
You look like you need to take 5.
Yeah, sure. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I present to you the R. Kelly tape. I warn you, it is.
Yeah.
Oh my. Oh, no, he did.
Objection, we can't even see his face clearly.
Oh, man, he got freckles and everything.
That proves nothing.
Hello. Yes, this is Robert Kelly. Yes, the singer. You want my social security number? Sure. It's 916-34-7865. Okay.
Is that really his social?
Well,
No, okay, that's fine.
Now, young lady,
That would have been
I
next
know this
level
might be hard.
trolling right there.
No, it's cool.
how old were you when you were seeing Mr. Kelly?
14 and a quarter.
Wow, that's a great age, isn't it? Still learning so much about the world.
Whatever, I guess.
Could you describe the events leading up to the shooting of the video?
Yeah, he asked if he could pee on me, and I said, for sure. I mean, it's R. Kelly, the Pied Piper of R&B. I've been peed on by guys who don't even have record deals. Shit, if I didn't want to get peed on, I'd just move out the way. I told you.
Order.
Would you describe yourself as an African American woman?
Nigga, you blind?
No, I'm not. So it's safe to say that R. Kelly is sexually attracted to Black women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor, I'm trying to establish to the court that my client is a proud Black man who loves his Black sisters, unlike District Attorney Dubois, who's married to a white woman.
Okay, pause. 3, 2, 1. All right, so talk to me about that, because I've heard that, the whole crossing the lines. What you said there was 3 positions on R. Kelly. Are there 3 positions on?
No, they're not, and it's because I've got the strong one against it.
Okay, so what is there?
More screen sharing and video.
All right.
Because this guy.
So you can't beat him. He'll take your idea and just.
Can you hear it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Umar.
There we go. This is sharp looking.
Here you go. 8-minute video.
All right.
Now, obviously, I'm married to a white woman, so I wasn't against it 10 years ago. However, I watched this video, and it was the most recent paradigm shift that allowed me to fully support Black-only marriages, or to encourage Black-only marriages the way I currently do.
Now, is that in favor of a mixed marriage? Or is that just an encouragement of Black-only marriage? Like, are you making a choice, or are you just picking a preference?
I'm making a strategic choice, and he'll tell you all the reasons why.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Umar. Are you totally against interracial relationships?
I am totally against it, and I want to make sure you understand why. It's not because. Cut it out, Envy. Cut it out, Envy.
Don't do that, Envy. I'm having a serious conversation.
We have a name for it.
We
have a name for it.
Okay.
The Snow Bunny Crisis.
Okay.
I am against the Snow Bunny Crisis. And I want your white listeners to understand. Because people be trying to say stuff like, he's the Black Hitler. I'm not the Black Hitler. I am in no way interested in hurting or harming the life of any human, white, Asian, Chinese. I believe in respecting everybody. The reason I'm against interracial marriage, Envy and Charlemagne, is because marriage is an economic contract. It's an economic contract.
Right there.
Most women do not marry down in status. They marry up. And if you don't believe me, show me a rich white woman married to a broke-ass Black man. Have you ever seen a rich white woman marry a broke-ass Black man? No, you have not, and you never will. Because marriage ain't about love, it's not colorblind, and it is totally economic. So if marriage is an economic unification in a contract, how can we, who don't have enough already, give so much to the white woman and to white people who have already taken too much when we got all these Black women out here who will never get married? Only 1 out of every 4 Black women in America will ever taste marriage. And half of them who taste marriage will be divorced within 5 years. If you want to save the Black family, if you want to save the Black family, you have to protect it.
What do you mean?
That statistic, he said 1 in 4 women Black women get married. But I was curious, I thought I saw a different statistic in National Geographic one time where the African-American family structure in America, and I think this was in the early to mid 2000s, so this could have changed. But how does this factor, or does it factor into the equally skewed percentage of single parent households or absent father households? I know that's a delicate subject for some, but is that part of this, or is that a different topic, or is the marriage conversation linked to that?
It sounds like what most people would ask if they want the information that I think you want. is, can pregnancy change that? Like, are you asking if I feel or if he feels that? No, I got you.
Is there a link
No,
or
it
is it two
doesn't.
things? I guess that's my question.
No, there isn't, because everything he's talking about is deeper than that.
Okay.
This is he's a Pan-Africanist. So for a regular person, I would just call him an extremist. But you'll get to know him probably. There'll probably be a lot of videos with him referenced in the next 2 or 3 years. But anyway,
I get the point. Economic construct. So,
but the concepts that he's talking about govern our day to day, not just the institute of marriage. The things and topic, his core so far about marriage being an economic construct just puts it in the view of marriage. But he believes the same thing about friendship, about businesses, about who you choose to sleep with. It's not just marriage, it's life. Marriage is only the greatest, gift that you can give your life to someone else in that way, maybe. But no, I don't think single family households or whatever factor into this, because the principles that govern it should not allow the race portion, which is the context of this discussion, we're about interracial marriages.
Yeah.
So the creating an interracial child is still under the guidelines of.
No, so I guess maybe I wasn't clear about what I thought the link was. It's strictly, if he's looking at this in terms of a numbers game, meaning are the black fathers going somewhere else, and that causes or is a part of a contributing factor to single parent households. So I'm saying, is the layer beneath this, is this an indirect tangential influencer that produces a field of potential suitors that is skewed in one direction, giving.
I am not sure
takes away
what
commitment.
information you're asking for, but this has 6 more minutes, and we only have 10 more minutes until it's 10 o'clock. Let's see how far along Boone.
The point is it are there less black fathers because the black fathers are marrying white women?
That question doesn't equate to what you were asking before.
That's what I was trying to ask. That's what I was trying to ask poorly.
Well, how could it not? I mean,
that was my point. I thought it was linked, but I didn't know how to ask.
No,
It sounds like you haven't thought about that.
Yeah, but I haven't thought about it because I don't see a way it's not linked. Like,
okay,
if you take some people out, then they can't be in. Like, I don't understand why that's a relevant.
I'm just curious, is it big enough that it's a factor, or is it just
oh, absolutely. That is the Snow Bunny crisis.
Okay.
That is the Snow Bunny crisis in itself. Yeah, like that's why I said the underlying core values and principles dictate the day-to-day. It's not just about the interracial marriage, it's about the support in general.
So I'm going to ask you for something you don't like to do, but I trust you enough to do it well, and which is to summarize the content of the video, and I'll trust you. Specifically, when he talks about marriage, does he stay away from, or does he include lifelong commitment to a person because you like that person? Or is it strictly, pun intended, divorced from that part of marriage to give preference to the strategic advantages of removing marriage for personal choice and love from the equation? Like, does he say that doesn't matter enough? And this,
I think it's on the lines of the first.
Okay. Which is fine. That's just a different way
in order to protect it, you have to be against interracial marriage. You can't say, I love the black family, but I don't have a problem with interracial marriage. Interracial marriage is eliminating the black family because it is not providing our women with enough available and able black men to be their husbands.
So
it's not just white. It's not just white women. You just feel white women, Asian,
everybody. Nobody should be marrying out the race because there's political consequences, DJ Envy. I'll give you one right now. Naomi Osaka Am I saying her name
Yes.
right? The tennis sister.
Naomi Osaka, yes.
Naomi, I love the sister, right? She knocked off the greatest of all time, the GOAT, in Serena. But guess what? Who is she representing in the upcoming Olympics? Is she representing Haiti? No, she representing Japan. So here you have a half African sister, an African sister with, because there's no such thing as half African, our genes are dominant. So you got an African sister with a Japanese mother, and instead of going back home to your father's blood, Haiti, to represent the Africans in Haiti, you're instead going to represent the Japanese who've never done anything for black folks and are part of the Trilateral Commission with the American white power structure. But who taught her to play tennis? Did her Japanese mother teach her to play tennis? Or did her black Haitian father teach her to play tennis? Her black Haitian father taught her to play tennis. It's the African DNA. It's the African ancestors in that girl that's responsible for her tennis success. But instead of representing us, she's going to go represent the Japanese. Well, this is what you got to deal with when you make mixed race African children.
I think hold on, baby. I think her case is a little different though, because she identifies fully as a black woman. She definitely does.
So if you identify fully as a black woman, Charlamagne, why is she not representing Haiti?
I get it, but that's a little asterisk. Because if because she's putting her money in the black causes, she puts her money in the black organizations. She got a black boyfriend. Like she stands up for black causes.
You see what Haiti going through?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So do you know what?
I don't even know if Haiti got a tennis team, so I don't know, to be honest with you.
They don't have to have one. She will win the whole thing. But here's the point. If you look at the political situation that America and France has Haiti in, that they've been in since the Haitian Revolution of 1791, if you look at the fact that the children are being raped, robbed, stolen by whites, if you look at the fact that America and France have sabotaged the Haitian economy and the Haitian society, if Naomi was to represent Haiti one time, she can go back and represent Japan next time. But if she was to represent Haiti just one time, it would shine a light on all the injustices that the U.S. government and the French government are inflicting upon our brothers and sisters in Haiti, and it would be
All right, I'm not gonna pause it for long because I don't want to interject too much. I want to get out of here somewhat on time. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say when he started down this path, I was thinking this is gonna be a waste of 2 or 3 minutes. But at this point, I see where it could be beneficial. In that I've been talking about how it's about more than the economic structure or the concept. It's about the life governing principles. And right now, what he's talking about goes into that.
I want to have a white perspective question as part of your group answer, because I think this is really the last good question we're going to have anyways.
Okay.
Do you see that guy as racist or not?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I think he's a terrible racist.
I could see him as culturalist, but not racist.
Okay, fine enough.
I used to call myself culturalist.
I'm just curious, like if I said that white people shouldn't marry black women, that statement doesn't land the same as his.
Oh, absolutely not. But you also understand power structure.
But no, what I mean is I could make the same arguments, the same words. I could take a transcript.
You know where this goes?
I could take a transcript of his speech.
I could tell you the end of this exchange. Yeah. I can tell you the end of this, me and you, where this train's going. It goes back to privilege.
So he has the privilege of being able to say things that I would be labeled a racist for.
Absolutely. That you would be. Not that you would be labeled. That you would be a racist.
I'd be canceled in a second.
No, the label isn't important. What's important is what it is.
Well, the physical consequence as it affects my life is what I'm talking about. Meaning, if people
I thought we were just talking about the definition.
Whether
I thought we were talking about definition.
Or not, if they decide I am, they'll treat me like I am one, and it doesn't matter what the truth is. I would live the life of someone who is being punished as a racist, regardless of whether or not I was.
But you would be. That's what I was saying.
What's that?
Would be. You would be. That's what I was saying.
So my point is that
it doesn't matter the label. It matters that it's different. It doesn't matter that it seems different. It matters that it is different.
That's the white guy's question. What makes this guy special?
And that's why I said this conversation ends with privilege. This conversation ends with the definition of privilege.
Okay.
This conversation ends with the definition of privilege, and this is why we define racism differently. Because you're seeing his words is equal to yours, in that they carry equal weight. I see racism as a power dynamic. And so it isn't carrying equal weight. It's
If you're more powerful, you have more say about what racism is.
yeah, if the victors write the history book.
What about Donald Trump, man? He's got way more power than 99.9% of humans because of his wealth. He's not a moral icon.
You're right. He's several others.
So the powers argument, it's a little weak.
Why is it weak? I don't
Because I gave an
understand at all.
example of a powerful person where it doesn't apply, which means something
It
else.
does not apply.
really-
He said that he'd be racist too. That's why I'm lost. I thought you just strengthened my argument.
Wait, what?
I said that's why I'm lost. I thought you just gave me another point. Like, where's the support that there shouldn't be or that there isn't this? Where does that show anything that I said isn't the way that it is?
Oh, no, I'm measuring what you're saying. I'm not trying
Oh,
to
okay.
steer it in any direction. I just need to know where the lines are. That's what the
Well, you
question.
said he was powerful and he didn't do something or couldn't do something. Like, I don't get.
He's not a racist, and you said because he has
He
more.
is a racist. Oh wait, you mean?
I'm talking about Umar.
Okay, so
I'm saying that Umar is powerful, and you said he has authority on the topic of racism because of that, because it's a power dynamic. And I clarified that and said, so if someone's more powerful,
I wouldn't say
they have a
Dr.
greater
Umar.
ability to influence the definition of racism, which you thought I was speaking about Dr. Umar for, which I was. However, because we're talking about power structures and racism in general, I said, let's take another powerful person and test, is it really the power that is behind their credibility? And so I said, I'll take someone very polarizing and powerful, Donald Trump.
What makes you think it's credibility?
Well, that was the questions I asked you. I thought those were the answers I was getting back, was that he has more authority on.
No, it
Isn't
wasn't.
it racism?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is not what I meant or said or meant to say.
Okay, so that was
However, you would be racist if you said that, and he's not racist even though he said that. That's where I thought we were gonna, that's why I said this is gonna come back to privilege and power dynamics and things like that.
Yeah. So all
And
I
it's not because he's more powerful, it's because he's less in other ways. It's that's why those words aren't equal. It's not the same thing if I say you're hitting me, then if you say I'm hitting you, if you're a 300-pound guy and I'm a 12-year-old girl. Those are the same words, but they don't and should not carry the equal weight.
So
and that's why racism.
the problem that I have is that a conversation about racism is built on how we can properly separate people enough. And that to me sounds wrong. That sounds opposite of the direction of what productive progress on racism would look like. Meaning,
Well, see, the problem I have with that,
less
the problem I have with that is I haven't seen you yet be able to analyze or say you've analyzed and understand racism in the terms that I've used or that are expressed. For me, they've all been new information that I've been giving you that I have yet to see you demonstrate that you fully understood to go to like a next level. But
who's deciding what the levels are? If you've got the wrong
we each
answer
have our own.
at 30,000 feet
We
deep,
each have our own.
the opposite direction from day one, it's going to look like I'm nowhere near the level of development because I have denied the premise, and your premise doesn't change, but your levels go deep. So what I'm doing is I'm checking the premises and saying some of these premises I disagree on as stable foundations if, and this is the big if the goal is to eliminate or reduce racism. So if the goal is to do anything that is not that, then I'm fine with that too. The only thing I have a problem with is when I hear those two things put in the same box, where someone says, my goal is to end racism by their platform. And then
The problem I'm
saying
hearing.
well, hang on, let me tie this last bit. They say my goal is to shine light on racism and make it better. If that's their stated goal, and then they do things which are divisive and divisive and divisive to further that goal in the name of that goal, I think they are deluding themselves and making the problem worse or perpetuating the problem. But that's my view of it based on the dynamics of power. Again, everything that moves is a power, and everything that repeats has a power source. So as long as something is repeating, its power source is intact, which is why I kept picking at where does his power to not be racist or to be racist or to set definitions about racism come from? Because once you understand where the power is and what is cyclical about it, then you can see what happens when you turn it off and on by comparing similar individuals who have exaggerated qualities that are polar opposites. That was kind of the thing I was trying to say.
And I think that we disagree on the definition of racism.
Probably.
Yeah, the definition of racism and the definition of race, or in these concepts, because it sounds like you're saying we can't analyze it because analyzing it is self-destructive.
I'm saying
I mean, you can put all the ends of it.
There's only one addition, analyzing it with the wrong goal.
Yeah, exactly. So because we can't analyze it our way, because when we analyze it our way, we have the other goal, because the conversation's about what it's been named as, like it's a catch-22 from your perspective. And I think because of that, you might not be able to go deeper to the other levels.
Well,
you asked me and didn't let me answer when you said who gets to decide the levels.
It's true. It's true. Well, I think the answer that both of us could eventually agree on is that every person decides their own levels, and what they agree on is what they share.
Can we also read that this comes down to a conversation about privilege as well?
Like, however you want to define privilege, sure. Like, I'm of the position
White
that privilege,
because we're talking about people.
So for when we say privilege, there's a different definition there as well, because when the word privilege is used, that is a positive word in many associations, but it has a negative connotation, almost like I'm saying you have privilege, but what I'm really saying is that you should feel ashamed about that. And
that's called white guilt.
So, and here's the thing. So I have no white guilt, and I have no shame about whatever privilege I may or may not have, because from my perspective, every human has a diversity of privileges and challenges. And I'm not going to say that my limited privileges, which are not infinite, are things that I can throw away and still expect to lead a good life. So from my perspective, I will use my privileges to benefit myself and those around me. And if anyone is not being honest about the word privilege, which is my point by approaching it with this argument, now you have to tell me, no, it's not privilege I'm saying that you have. You should have shame. And that's the layer I'm trying to peel away.
Yeah, and that doesn't exist.
So
that's
privilege for me is a good thing. I wish everybody had privilege. I wish everybody.
Yeah, that's the argument that most Trump supporters believe. I think that's part of the conversation that I don't know if you're willing to have. Every time I try to take it there, it seems like you don't.
Here's the thing: I'm willing to have it.
But your way avoids the problem.
My way challenges the premise. It's a different thing. It challenges your premise.
But whenever
I need you to do a little harder work to make me see that the premise is the only choice.
What's the premise?
Well, hang on. You were challenging me doing that, so that's your question to answer.
You said you were challenging it, and I don't think you know what it is.
I'm challenging the premise. I'm not willing to have a conversation. The conversation has been started, and I'm saying this is what
that premise
seems to assume, and let's explore that, specifically the topic of privilege. So I was setting definitions to have the conversation, and based on how I was setting those definitions, you were saying I was avoiding the conversation. No, I'm having it.
Yeah, because you're setting the definitions in the ways that don't make any damn sense.
To who?
To anybody who believes them to be true. Like, who believes that? Like, nobody thinks that nobody thinks white people should be guilty. Well, not nobody, but nobody respectable, logical, that I respect, whatnot, thinks that white people should be guilty, or that white privilege should be tied to shame.
Should white people be guilty over white privilege? That's the question.
Absolutely.
And if the answer is yes, my answer is make me. Try again. For the first time we've just met, Mr. Black person who's saying I should feel more shame.
He's like, I did not say
Something
that.
nice.
I do not think you should feel more shame, but I can
don't, yeah.
definitely make you responsible. Like this is that's why I'm saying you won't have the conversation because I think
Responsible for what?
you're tied to your lack of guilt, so you won't look at the history and analyze the
I
numbers.
will look at the
and say
history and I will
more
deny
likely
that I'm responsible for it.
it is a birth privilege of those who look a certain way because they're treated better than other people by
So
society.
we're having the thing where I see the conversation being avoided is where you're trying to set these definitions about, not definitions, these axioms about what happens when you're born. What happens based on things that have already happened. Like the conversation starts before that. Or I accept that this is a made up hypothetical world where that is true. But I don't like to have conversations where I'm believing something that I could challenge and refine, which from my perspective is full of logical, circular paths that repeat. Meaning it's not good logic if it gets stuck in a circle.
That's why I came up with the spreadsheet because I feel like you're running in circles, and I'm going to try to stop you because we're disconnecting somewhere.
Circles because I'm challenging your premises, which are making a circle. So that's how I challenge bad logic. Is I don't.
Yeah, and I don't see a circle.
I
don't think
and ask why it's not unbalanced.
Yeah, and I don't see the circle. I feel like I'm moving forward, and you're in circles to hide the other conversation. So I wrote it down so that we could do it.
You're moving forward without me.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to map where we are based on what you say, because what you're saying isn't lining up the right way. So if I write it down, maybe I'll get it.
All right. So what's the question? What's the big question?
Why do you think you should be able to say the N-word?
What's that?
What's the core idea behind the core idea is the same principle of you should be allowed to say the N-word because everybody's words are equal.
Let me put it this way. I have ownership of the choice to say the N-word and ownership of whether or not I would feel personal shame over that.
And that's what you think.
People still have the ability, correct or incorrect, to judge me how they will. But my participation in their judgment is not necessary for it to reach its conclusion. I don't need to participate in their judgment for their judgment to happen.
It is in that you'll take responsibility for the choice, but that's when I had to start writing.
Okay, no, so here's the thing. I have the ability to say the N-word. I have the ability to say it and not feel guilty. I have the power to do this as well. So I could say the N-word, and if I was this hypothetical individual, I could lead a successful and happy life. Get rich, be respected. Why? Because unless I'm a public figure, there's racists all over the place and they go undetected and they use the N-word all the time. And my point is these people are already there and they are already successful. And I could be one of them and I could experience no shame. So I'm creating that as an example. Now, I could do the opposite and feel incredible shame, but what doesn't need to be, it doesn't matter which one of those things is true because people can judge me whether they are correct, whether they are incorrect, whether I feel proud or whether I feel shame. So the judgment from other people is independent from my subjective experience unless I choose to link them. And that is the choice that I see forced, and I'm using air quotes, forced in many of these premises, not just you, but the larger conversation in general, is our judgment, our collective judgment should force you to do blank, which, if we tie everything together, that line of reasoning to me goes against consent, which is a form of tyranny. So it's a third layer tyranny that mimics a type of oppression that you hear being rightfully denounced among many communities where oppressed people are. So it's an unrecognized form of oppression to assume that judgment on a large scale impacts personal choice. And that's where the argument fails in my perspective.
Yeah, my argument isn't there because I've offered to look at statistics. I've offered to express different subpoints of different things. And instead of going down those paths, to be more objective, to not just be the greater good, but to look at what actually is, we went somewhere else. And when I brought up, something about from birth, you took it on the from birth category and you brought up the time mention of it as if any time wasn't, applicable to it. So that's another, circle you ran in when I wanted to define and I wanted to go the other way. It seems like you're avoiding looking at that possibility. And
Which
I think
one?
that may be the conversation that you don't want to have.
Which
Anything
one?
dealing with greater good at all, because it leads to tyranny and it feels like you're afraid of it.
No. The greater good exists if you're willing to harm people.
By the greater good, I mean the concept of the greater good, and then it actually being good. Or the concept that other people's your choice between the link of personal choices and people's judgments or whatnot. I think that's the conversation that you might not want to have, or that you might be running in circles, or that I'm trying to have.
Tell me what's wrong about that statement.
You might be wrong, and you might not be able to know it. So you have to have people around you that you trust in some degree.
So the question is, how can I do it then?
By talking and connecting with people.
No.
and
I
having
mean,
a
how can I
conversation.
do the thing that you say is wrong? I don't choose to let other people's opinion of me.
All I said that I don't think I said anything was wrong yet, did I?
You said the choice to link personal choice and people's judgment.
Yeah, I didn't have wrong anything. I just wrote a note for me to remember what you
That
said.
was where I don't have that conversation.
Yeah, I feel like that's the conversation you don't want to have. Not that it's wrong, but I think that might be the one that you're running from. The greater good. I brought up some other things. I brought up how I could have
think I have
melted
it right, Tony. I'm not running from anything. I'm the king of
That's
running.
a false dichotomy if I've ever heard you say one.
Well, the false dichotomy goes both ways. Neither thing.
No, it doesn't. You said, do I have this or do I have it right? I think you could have it completely right and still not want to do this. Not want to look at anything else. And why would you look at anything else? Because somebody who you love and trust is
I'm
asking
asking
you.
you, how do I look at it?
You said you were running me in circles.
No. I'm asking. So the reason it goes in a circle is I think I have it right. And I'm asking questions that exit the loop or could exit the loop. However, I keep getting responses
like what?
That perpetuate it.
I'll give you a few examples of a conversation. So give me a conversation of
Hang on,
give me a conversation of how we can exit the loop.
No, it's 10:15. I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
Well, we went way over. So
See you next time.
15 minutes of bonus time. So we'll pick this up next time.
And minus 20 of Boondocks.
So
Yeah,
yeah, 1446 if you want to put that in to resume.
14. I can put that note. 1446. Sound good?
All right, brother.
See you next time.
See ya.